All right, hey guys, welcome to Elliptical Eccentricity for Capital Efficiency. My name's Josh. I'm part of the core team at Gyroscope, and we've recently launched a stablecoin, GYD. And part of the stablecoin system, we created this whole new automated market maker called ECLP, the Elliptical Concentrated Liquidity Pool, based on an ellipse. And that's the topic for this presentation. Okay, so in this talk, I'll be going through a brief refresher on the evolution of automated market makers, AMMs, where we'll explore the ECLP's predecessors and their benefits and drawbacks. Then I'll present the ECLP itself, how it fits within the AMM, the evolution of the AMM design, and how it provides unparalleled benefits in specific use cases. And I'll show you how to construct one from scratch. And finally, I'll discuss the use cases of the ECLP, where it really shines as a value-adding novel innovation because of its flexibility. Okay, so first, a refresher on automated market makers. I'll discuss three main AMM designs: the original XY equals K, stable swap, and finally Uniswap v3, concentrated liquidity. So though automated market makers have existed for some time, the use of a constant function market maker where trades occur along a trading curve and is subject to some invariant constraint first arose from a blog post written by Vitalik in 2017, where he discussed why this property called path independence may be desirable for an AMM. The price quoted by the AMM is dependent on the quantity of reserves of each asset only, and not on the number or magnitude of any intermediate trades. So this helps to prevent any bleeding off of reserves caused by malicious actors. The peer-to-pool model of the AMM, the automated market maker, means that prices are algorithmically determined by some invariant function, and reserves are maintained within the AMM smart contract itself. So this has the benefit of allowing constant and permissionless access to liquidity and open and transparent determination of prices, as opposed to the peer-to-peer model, where finding the relevant liquidity to settle trades can be a little more troublesome. However, liquidity providers, LPers, who provide the reserves required for AMMs to trade can suffer losses if the relative price of the two assets diverges from that at which the LP provided liquidity to the AMM pool. So this is commonly known as impermanent loss. When designing any AMM, a careful analysis of the incentives for liquidity provision is required in order to make sure free agents, that is the LPers, the liquidity providers, are incentivized to provide liquidity and ensure that the AMM is actually useful. So impermanent loss is the loss to liquidity providers due to price variation relative to just holding that same set of assets. It's caused by the AMM not knowing what the external market price is. And so when the external price changes, the AMM is stuck quoting the stale prices and must be re-equilibrated to the market price by arbitrageurs. But arbitrageurs are not selfless individuals. They do this because they gain some profit, and this profit is the liquidity provider's loss in the zero-sum game of trading. So this is actually a form of adverse selection, since there is information asymmetry between the arbitrageurs or traders and the AMM. The traders know the true market price of the trading pair, but the AMM doesn't. So it's possible to mitigate this by allowing the AMM to react to some external price source, but then this introduces other sources of risk, like oracle risk, which need to be added to the incentive design formulation. Okay, so let's turn to the AMM's pricing function and how it can affect capital efficiency and slippage. So first we have Uniswap's constant product market maker, otherwise known as XY equals K, where X and Y are the quantity of the reserves of each asset, and K is the constant or invariance. It was the first AMM to bring Vitalik's ideas to production in November 2018, and also the first to enjoy significant volumes. Actually, Uniswap v2 was so successful that trading volumes sometimes surpassed centralized exchanges at the height of DeFi summer in 2020 and helped spark a whole new wave of DeFi innovation. The constant product market maker was an instance of the more general constant function market maker, which prices trading pairs implicitly via a constant trading function, which takes as input the reserves of the trading assets and constrains trading to a level curve according to an invariance. As the first significant AMM on Ethereum, Uniswap demonstrated that the idea of CFMMs worked Relative to traditional order book market making methods, the AMM was faster as it had liquidity available on demand, and it doesn't have to wait for limit orders to be published and filled. However, the nature of the invariant curve xy equals k means that the liquidity is reserved for trading across the entire price space from 0 to infinity. So this is good for guaranteeing trade volume at all prices, but thinly spreading liquidity over the entire range leads to increased slippage caused by each trade, increasing impermanent loss and resulting in low capital efficiency. So then the next design question is it possible to focus liquidity into a range since many trading pairs fall within a given range, particularly stablecoin pairs? So next up we have StableSwap from 2019. Curve came up with a solution by combining both the constant product and the constant sum market makers to create a hybrid market maker. So on the diagram, you can see how the trading curve reflects the constant product trading curve at the extremes of the trading range, but becomes closer to the constant sum, like a linear line, a straight line, in the middle. So since price is the derivative or the gradient of this trading function at any given point, the stable swap curve quotes a constant price of 1, which then exponentially increases or decreases as you move sufficiently away from 1. The stable swap function also has this amplification coefficient parameter A. The lower it is, the closer the trading curve is to a constant product, and the higher it is, the closer it is to a constant sum. So this parameter allows curve pools to cater to the capital requirements of individual markets instead of the one-size-fits-all approach of the constant product curve. So this means that stable swap is an excellent solution for price-related trading pairs, such as stablecoins and staked ETH, where prices are expected to remain within a finite band around 1. Since having a linear trading curve and constant price around the price of 1 means that stable swap benefits from extremely low slippage trades within that flat range. However, it also provides liquidity for trades across the entire price range, leading to capital inefficiency for the same reasons as the constant product curve. Then in May 2021, Uniswap v3 was launched. So it represented a large advancement in AMM design by introducing this concept of concentrated liquidity. So this means that liquidity providers could specify over which price range they wanted to provide liquidity, in effect gaining a multiplier on their provisions and leveraging their positions. So this has the dual benefits of both increased returns for liquidity providers and reduced slippage for traders within a specified price range. The downside is that when prices fall outside of this range, there's zero trading activity and therefore no fees accrue to the liquidity providers. However, as mentioned earlier, this may not be an issue for related trading pairs. In Uniswap v3, liquidity providers can open multiple positions with differing multipliers across the trading range, and thus they can combine these positions to custom tailor their liquidity provision profile as they see fit. They can also alter the profile dynamically in response to changes in market circumstances. The issue is that this active position management introduces complexity which the average DeFi user may not be able to or may not desire to handle. And also, since liquidity provider positions in Uniswap v3 are unique, users are given an NFT instead of an ERC20 LP token. So fees are not automatically fed back into the pool, and therefore they don't compound automatically, as with the previous AMM designs. So, is it possible to combine the capital efficiency of Uniswap v3 with the minimal slippage within a given trading range of StableSwap? Can we provide liquidity within a range, in other words, concentrated liquidity, while also maintaining the ease of use and minimal position management of StableSwap? Can liquidity providers get higher fees and can traders face lower slippage while also ensuring that fees are added back into the pool and are auto-compounded without any required intervention? And the answer to all these questions is, of course, yes. So enter Gyroscope's Elliptical Concentrated Liquidity Pool, the ECLP. Okay, so Gyroscope's brand new elliptical concentrated liquidity pool represents a step forward in AMM design and innovation. The trading curve is actually part of an ellipse that is constructed by applying a series of linear transformations on top of a circle. First, we take a circle centered at the origin, we stretch it, rotate it, and finally shift it. The trading then occurs on the part of the ellipse which is monotonically decreasing. The ECLP provides pool constructors a greater number of parameters to tinker with and optimize the shape of the trading curve for optimized capital efficiency in the specific market use case. So let's construct an ECLP trading curve ourselves and see how changing the parameters can optimize the curve for certain use cases. Okay, so we start with a circle centered on the origin, our classic x squared plus y squared equals radius squared. The circle is then stretched into an ellipse by the factor lambda, and you can see the corresponding matrix which represents the linear transformation. Then the ellipse is rotated anti-clockwise by angle phi. Again, the linear transformation is here in the corner. And finally, the ellipse is translated by some vector AB. So the origin is now at AB. So as you can imagine, the combination of all these parameters, the stretch factor lambda, the rotation angle phi, and the translation vector AB, provides a ton of flexibility with which to optimize the ECLP to particular use cases. So for example, stretching the ellipse or increasing its eccentricity means that the final ellipse has a broader, flatter area, which results in lower slippage trades, similar to the stable swap design. Rotating the ellipse can increase or decrease the peg price around which the slippage is minimized, and shifting the ellipse allows the constructor to alter where it intersects the x and the y axes, or in other words, to change the price range over which the ECLP accepts trades. So the ECLP provides concentrated liquidity similar to Uniswap v3 by constraining trading to within a trading range, alpha to beta. The prices alpha and beta are determined by the slope of the ellipse where it intersects the x and the y axis, as you can see here. The next interesting parameter of the ECLP is the peg price, which is the price where the ellipse is at its flattest, and it's also the price where there's least price impact. Note that the peg price doesn't have to be symmetrical about 1, unlike in stable swap, because of our ability to translate the ellipse anywhere and rotate it. So this is super helpful in use cases where perhaps you want most liquidity focused in the upper bounds of the trading range, but you want to reserve some capital for lower probability cases nearer the lower bound. Mathematically, the peg price is calculated as the tan of the rotation angle phi. To see this, note how the peg price gradient line, when extended, makes angle phi with the x-axis. Interestingly, the peg price doesn't even have to lie within the trading range, such as in this diagram. In this case, the price impact of a given trade increases as you move away from the peg price. In other words, the convexity of the trading curve increases as you move away from the peg price. And this can be useful where you want most liquidity focused at one end of the trading range. So now you can understand what the key parameters are in our UI for the ECLPs. We have alpha, beta, the price constraints, the peg price, and lambda, the stretch factor. Okay, so let's discuss some of the benefits of the ECLP. First, liquidity where you need it. So unlike stable swap, the ECLP's asymmetric price ranges allow it to unevenly distribute liquidity within its finite concentrated range. So for example, where prices are bound from above by 1 and from below by 0.5, but are expected to trade mainly around 1, the ECLP can unevenly distribute liquidity at the upper end of its trading range. Using the curve of an ellipse allows highly customizable liquidity profiles. In fact, the ECLP can be calibrated to approximate almost any trading curve that would be desirable. Another benefit, low operational burdens on LPers. Unlike Uniswap v3, all liquidity provided to ECLPs are within a single given price range or a single tick. So this means that liquidity providers don't have to actively manage their position between ticks, making it easier to passively manage their position. Setting the shape of the trading curve on initiation transfers the burden of liquidity profile management to pool constructors and away from liquidity providers. In Uniswap v3, with extreme flexibility comes extreme responsibility, and thus liquidity providers are required to set their own liquidity profile by combining v3 positions. And this may be great for sophisticated market makers, but for most DeFi users, it's not really practical. No need for active position management avoids this arms race between liquidity providers as they scramble to update and optimize their positions with new market information. This also reduces the barrier to entry for liquidity providers. Just join on our Gyro UI and let the ECLP do the rest. So Gyroscope's ECLPs marry the user experience and simplicity of stable swap AMMs with the benefits of concentrated liquidity of Uniswap's v3, the best of both worlds. Okay, rounding things off, we'll talk about the ECLP's use cases. So the ECLP is currently heavily featured in the Gyroscope ecosystem. In the secondary markets for the GYD stablecoin, where trading is expected to occur between the price bounds set by the primary market's mint and redeem quotes, liquidity can be concentrated around the peg level of 1. But some can be unevenly distributed at lower levels for niche situations where the redemption price is at a discount. So unlike StableSwap, liquidity would not be provided by the ECLP above the price of 1, where no trading is expected in the secondary market. This is because arbitrageurs are expected to mint at a price of 1 and sell in the secondary market, ensuring there's that upper bound at 1. Also, in our reserve vaults, concentrated liquidity means that there's increased swap fees caused by trading activity between the stablecoin reserve assets. And so this helps to bolster the reserve health in the long run. The reserve vaults are currently implemented in the Gyro dynamic stability mechanism, and one of the reserve assets is the LP token to our LUSD CurveUSD ECLP. Actually, the GYD stablecoin and the ECLP automated market makers have a rather symbiotic relationship. GYD aims to be the central asset within a liquidity network of ECLPs, providing low slippage, high capital efficiency trades between multiple assets in a network of AMMs, such as on Balancer. And the ECLP helps create an efficient secondary market for GYD utilizing concentrated liquidity. And LP shares for other stable pairs can be used as yield-bearing collateral and reserve assets for GYD. Okay. So in both Lido's staked ETH and Liquidity's LUSD, trading occurs in a specific range bounded by the mint and the redeem prices of the derived assets. Again, there's no need for liquidity to be maintained outside this trading range. So the ECLB can be calibrated to concentrate liquidity to fit the market conditions. Benefits over StableSwap, as mentioned before, include not wasting liquidity provision in parts of the trading range that should never occur. So for example, above the mint price or below the redemption price. Pool creators can set the pool parameters upon construction to optimize liquidity provision, given current trading market data and any other factors such as tokenomics, which could affect the price and trading activity of the pair. So another huge benefit of ECLPs is our use of rate providers. So what happens to an AMM when one or more of the trading assets are yield-bearing tokens? So for example, between Lido's wrapped staked ETH and wrapped ETH. Wrapped staked ETH is designed to keep your balance fixed while your balance of the underlying staked ETH increases over time. As discussed earlier, we expect that the external market price changes, driven in part by this yield, the AMM price becomes stale and is only brought back into equilibrium by arbitrageurs. However, the arbitrageur's profit is the liquidity provider's loss. So to reflect the yield and the changes in prices, liquidity providers in other concentrated liquidity pools will have to actively manage their position, manually shifting their desired liquidity distribution. In contrast, ECLPs use external rate providers, which allow this yield to be endogenous to the pricing model. So in other words, as you can see in the animation on the right, the liquidity distribution of the ECLPs with yield-bearing assets shifts to the right over time, as the yield naturally changes the relationship between the assets of the trading pair. So this prevents the need for arbitrage, allowing the yield to end up with liquidity providers instead. So this is great news. Liquidity providers can rehypothecate their yield-bearing assets and add liquidity provision yield and other external incentives to gain some juicy cumulative yield. In fact, just this week, we've teamed up with Aave to launch the brand new Aave Rehype Pool, which allow liquidity providers to provide Aave static A tokens and enjoy the yield from Aave lending, the yield from AMM liquidity provision, external third-party incentives for liquidity provision, and brand new Gyroscope spin points. And they're all available on our UI today at app.gyro.finance. Okay, so in conclusion, ECLPs, elliptical concentrated liquidity pools, combine the user experience and the auto-compounding of Curve's stable swap pools with concentrated liquidity and asymmetrical liquidity distribution from Uniswap's V3 concentrated liquidity. So with a ton of parameters to choose from, ECLPs provide a customizability for specific use cases. And they're already being used today with stablecoins and LSTs and have over $25 million in total value locked. In the future, we plan to add updatable parameters to our ECLPs to allow for a more dynamic ECLP. The ECLP is integrated with top order routers such as Balancer, 1inch, and OX. The smart contracts are audited by leading names in the industry, as you can see here. And the Gyroscope team is supported by some big players in the DeFi space. Okay, so that's the end of my presentation. I'll leave with this slide summarizing the differences between some of the different AMMs I described, and perhaps we can have some questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Hello, good to see you. And I have two questions. The first question is about mathematical. Because of the curve you said will be oval, and is that the phi be 45 degrees?
Will the phi be 45?
Yeah. Maybe or not, I'm asking you, because if the phi be 45 degrees, it will be a circle. It's the first question for this this type you talk to me. So I'm asking you, the phi is be possible in some ways or some situations be 45 degrees. Yeah.
Yeah, so the phi is a variable, so you can change it as you like. If the ellipse was a circle, then obviously the phi wouldn't, the angle of rotation wouldn't matter. But since it's an ellipse, the angle of rotation allows you to change the peg price, the flattest part of this ellipse. If it's 45 degrees, then you get a peg price of 1, tan 45, right? But you can still change it so that it could be more than 1, less than 1, however you like.
So it always be changeable, in your contract, yeah, in your smart contract or something?
So right now it's static upon pool construction, but we're working on dynamic ECLPs where these parameters can be changed and updated.
Oh, thanks. And the second question is about the sandwich attack. Will sandwich, I believe it still have some sandwich attack, but the sandwich attack will get bigger benefit in this new type of the pool or not?
Right. So we're currently building on top of Balancer. And one of the aspects of Balancer's vault is that you have to specify a minimum or maximum allowed slippage. So this like helps mitigate sandwich attacks, because if the price is too far away from what you expect it to be, then the transaction just won't go through.
Okay,
Does
thank
that
you.
answer the question? Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
All right.
Thank you. We have one more question over here.
So with the update for ECLP, would there like be a pool manager, something like that?
What, sorry?
A pool manager?
A pool manager?
Yeah, to update the parameters for the.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I assume so, because once the parameters become mutable, then yeah, we'll probably create a user interface for users to tinker with their ECLPs as they like.
Do you have any plans, like how would this manager be chosen, or it could be a type of auction, something like that?
As in, who has permission to change the... Yeah, I'm not too sure on the plans right now. I mean, it could be just the pool constructor, or it could be a certain permission which could be transferable. But yeah, there's lots of options available there.
Okay, thank you.
Nice.
Thank you, Gyroscope.
Thank you.